In 1492, Christopher Columbus, an Italian explorer, sailed west across the Atlantic Ocean. He was searching for a new trade route to Asia. Instead, he landed on islands in the Caribbean Sea. This event marked the beginning of European exploration and colonization of the Americas. Columbus's voyages opened the door to a new era. Europeans, seeking wealth and land, began to establish colonies in the Americas. This led to the displacement and often the enslavement of the indigenous populations. The arrival of Europeans also brought new diseases, devastating many Native American communities. The Spanish were among the first to establish permanent settlements. They were followed by the English, French, and Dutch. Each group had its own motivations and interactions with the native people. These early encounters shaped the cultural landscape of the future United States. The English established their first permanent settlement in Jamestown, Virginia, in 1607. They were followed by the Pilgrims, who landed in Plymouth, Massachusetts, in 1620. These early colonists faced harsh conditions and struggled to survive. However, they persevered and laid the foundation for a new nation. Over the next century and a half, 13 colonies grew along the Atlantic coast. They were part of the British Empire, but life in America was different from life in England. The colonists developed their own identities and began to resent British rule. The British government imposed taxes on the colonists to pay for its wars. The colonists protested, arguing that they should not be taxed without representation in Parliament. The cry of no taxation without representation became a rallying cry for the growing resistance movement. Tensions escalated with events like the Boston Tea Party in 1773. Colonists disguised as Native Americans boarded British ships in Boston Harbor and dumped chests of tea into the water. This act of defiance further fueled the flames of rebellion. In response to the unrest, Britain sent troops to America. Clashes between British soldiers and colonial militiamen, such as the battles of Lexington and Concord in 1775, marked the beginning of the American Revolution. The American Revolution was a fight for liberty and self-determination. The colonists, led by figures like George Washington, faced a formidable foe in the British Empire. However, they were determined to secure their independence. The Declaration of Independence, adopted on July 4, 1776, proclaimed the colony's separation from Great Britain. It declared that all men are created equal and endowed with certain unalienable rights, including life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness. The war for independence was long and bloody. The Continental Army under Washington's leadership faced numerous challenges, including shortages of supplies and trained soldiers. However, their determination, coupled with support from France and other European powers, eventually turned the tide. The British surrender at Yorktown in 1781 effectively ended the war. The Treaty of Paris, signed in 1783, formally recognized the United States of America as an independent nation. After gaining independence, the newly formed United States faced the daunting task of creating a government. The Articles of Confederation, adopted in 1777, proved too weak to effectively govern the fledgling nation. In 1787, delegates from the states met in Philadelphia to address the shortcomings of the Articles. The result was the United States Constitution, a remarkable document that has served as the blueprint for American democracy for over 2 centuries. The Constitution established a federal system of government with power divided between the national government and the states. It also created a system of checks and balances among the legislative, executive, and judicial branches to prevent any one branch from becoming too powerful. The Bill of Rights, consisting of the first 10 amendments to the Constitution, was added in 1791. These amendments guarantee fundamental rights such as freedom of speech, religion, the press, the right to bear arms, and protection from unreasonable searches and seizures. Section 5. A Nation Divided. The issue of slavery cast a long shadow over the young nation. While some northern states began to abolish slavery, the southern economy remained heavily reliant on enslaved labor. This division between North and South would eventually lead to the Civil War. In the decades leading up to the Civil War, tensions over slavery escalated. Abolitionists in the North condemned slavery as a moral evil, while slaveholders in the South defended it as a necessary part of their way of life. The election of Abraham Lincoln, a Republican who opposed the expansion of slavery, as president in 1860, proved to be the catalyst for secession. 11 southern states seceded from the Union to form the Confederate States of America. The Civil War, which began in 1861, was the bloodiest conflict in American history. It pitted brother against brother in a struggle over the future of the nation. Section 6. The Long Road to Equality. The Union victory in 1865 preserved the nation and ended slavery. The 13th Amendment to the Constitution adopted in 1865 abolished slavery in the United States. Reconstruction, the period following the Civil War, was a time of great upheaval and change. The federal government worked to rebuild the South and integrate formerly enslaved people into society. Despite these efforts, African Americans continued to face discrimination and segregation. It would take another century of struggle, culminating in the civil rights movement of the 1950s and 1960s, to achieve full legal equality. Leaders like Martin Luther King Jr. inspired millions with their message of nonviolent resistance. The Civil Rights Act of 1964 and the Voting Rights Act of 1965 outlawed discrimination based on race, color, religion, sex, or national origin. Section 7. The Rise of a Superpower. The 20th century saw the United States emerge as a global superpower. The country played a pivotal role in both world wars, helping to defeat fascism and communism. After World War II, the United States and the Soviet Union emerged as the world's two superpowers. The rivalry between these two nations, known as the Cold War, shaped international relations for decades. The Cold War was a time of intense competition in military technology, space exploration, and espionage. The United States and the Soviet Union also supported opposing sides in conflicts around the world. The Cold War came to an end with the collapse of the Soviet Union in 1991. The United States emerged from the Cold War as the world's sole superpower. Section 8. The Challenges of the 21st Century. The 21st century has brought new challenges for the United States. The country faces threats from terrorism, climate change, and economic inequality. The September 11, 2001, terrorist attacks on the World Trade Center and the Pentagon were a defining moment in American history. The attacks led to the wars in Afghanistan and Iraq, as well as a renewed focus on homeland security. Climate change is another pressing issue facing the United States. The country is a major emitter of greenhouse gases, and its actions will have a significant impact on the global climate. Economic inequality is a growing problem in the United States. The gap between the rich and the poor has been widening in recent decades, leading to social and political tensions. Section 9. America Today and Tomorrow. The United States remains a land of opportunity and a beacon of hope for many around the world. However, it is also a nation grappling with its past and present challenges. The country is becoming increasingly diverse, with a growing population of immigrants and their descendants. This diversity is one of America's greatest strengths, but it also presents challenges in terms of integration and social cohesion. The United States continues to play a leading role in global affairs, but its influence is being challenged by the rise of other powers, such as China. The country's foreign policy is likely to be a subject of debate and discussion for years to come. As the United States looks to the future, it will need to address these challenges while staying true to its founding ideals of liberty, equality, and opportunity for all.